Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
And I'm Ryan McAllister.
So, good news, folks. We've made it to the end of Season 3. So this will be our last episode in Season 3. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take next week off. So, it'll be a couple of weeks before we have another episode, but, you know, it's just been kind of tight, and getting topics has been, it's been a little bit more difficult. So we're going to take next week off and kind of regroup things and see what we're going to do with the show and how we're going to go forward. Our audience hasn't really grown any. I think it's mostly people that we know that are listening, which, that's fine. If they're enjoying it and they continue to listen, that's fine. We'll keep doing it. But we do just need a break here and there. So next week will be a break.
Yep.
And, we may end up having a fairly short one this week. Just like, I think last week was short as well. And, I was kind of thinking maybe that's the direction we'll go. If you don't like the idea of shorter episodes, if you still want them to be around 30 minutes, well, let us know in the comments, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, or, well, really it's either that, or follow us on Facebook. It's the Grumpy Guy Show on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And leave us a comment there. But considering that, just because topics are getting more and more difficult to find, and, all right, let me rephrase that. They're not more difficult to find. They're more difficult for me to remember to write down. But, it's also a little time consuming because it takes us 45 minutes or so to get everything ready and record. And then it takes another hour to edit things and put them together and then render the video, plus 45 minutes to upload it. So, that's a time commitment. And if we cut it down to 15 minutes or, 15 to 20 minutes instead of 25 to 35, that's a big savings. So that's a possibility. But let's get into our first topic here. So,
all right, what do we got?
So I'm not going to actually say the title of the topic. So, as anybody who drinks knows, or who's gone to a doctor knows, doctors suggest you stop excessive drinking of alcohol. Yeah. So the reason that this is in there is two parts. I mean, first off, give me a frickin' break, okay? Everything kills you. You might as well enjoy some stuff. I'm not saying go excessive.
Obviously.
But one of the biggest problems I have is, to most doctors, excessive drinking means that you have more than 2 drinks a week.
Yeah, that's insane.
If you have...
Thing.
Yeah, well, it is. But here's the worst part. If you go by a doctor's definition of an alcoholic, it means that you have 1 drink every night.
Yep.
And it's like, are you freaking serious? But, so here's what really, really kills me. And it's the second reason that this is in there. Yeah. So, excessive drinking means that if you're under 21, you have a drink.
Wow.
According to this new study. All I can think is, don't you people have better things to spend money on? I mean, come on. It's really not that... It's not that difficult to find something to spend money on. Mm-hmm. If you can't do it, let me know. I'll do it for you. I mean, seriously. It's just freaking ridiculous. Oh, well, if you have more than 1 drink under 21, it's excessive. What the hell?
I don't know.
I just don't get it. It just,
I don't either.
I get that 21 is some magical number that, people think is like perfect. The age
Apparently.
wasn't raised to 21 because of medical reasons. It was raised to 21 because people under 21 were just going crazy and getting killed like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if they weren't killing themselves, they were killing other people in accidents. That's why the age was raised. It's really about your mental, your mental being. I mean, under 21, I kind of get it. 18 to 21, you're still learning things. So it's not like, it's not like you've got a lot of experience. So, I get that. But then when you start talking about, dude, having a drink under 21, come on. It's just childish to me. I mean,
Sounds like it.
Just because you're a doctor now and you didn't have a drink until after you were 21 doesn't mean that it was excessive under 21.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I drank a whole lot under 20 when I was under 21, but seriously. It's just ridiculous. And they need to be realistic with things, I mean, you're going to say that excessive drinking is bad. Okay, but let's make it so that it's really, truly excessive. When you start talking about 1 or 2 drinks, a day or a week, it's really not excessive.
No, it's not.
But, and you can't even call somebody who drinks that much an alcoholic.
No.
If they're at a point where they have to have that drink every day, okay.
Then that's an alcoholic.
Yeah. If they can't go a day without having a drink, that's an alcoholic. That means that they are addicted.
Mm-hmm.
But, we don't do any studies like this on caffeine, coffee. No. There are so many people that can't go. They get out of bed and they don't talk to them before they had their coffee.
Oh, God.
It's utterly ridiculous. We focus on alcohol because it's an illegal drug. Caffeine is a drug, folks.
It is
just
a drug.
Happens to be legal. But, we don't look at that.
With nowhere near as much regulation as it probably should have.
Oh, there's regulation, but it's only regulation to limit the amount that can be in a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, who was it? I think it was Panera. They have some beverage that's so caffeinated that supposedly it killed a couple of people.
Yikes.
Okay. That's an effect of a drug.
Yep.
But what do I know? I'm not a doctor.
Neither am I.
All right. So let's go on to our next topic.
Okay.
So this is about some college graduates and a scam that's going around targeting them.
Uh-oh.
And what really, really kills me is they're supposed to be intelligent people.
Right.
I mean, one of them went to a freaking Ivy League school. One of them in the story that I saw went to an Ivy League school. Which, that means you're freaking intelligent.
Right.
So, basically, they applied for jobs because they were graduating.
Mm-hmm.
And they were supposedly offered a job.
Right.
And then what happens is this scammer sends them a check for office supplies. So my assumption is, okay, they're working remote.
Right.
But, to me, my first thing would be, you're going to send me a check before I fill out any paperwork other than the application?
Yeah, that's kind of suspicious.
That's really suspicious because in order for them to send you a check, they have to have your address and everything else like that. So here's how the scam works. They send you that check, and that check is for a significant amount of money. Again, supposedly, I don't know.
Supposedly.
I don't know exactly how much, but they send you a check. Then a couple of days later, they call you, like they figure out how long it's going to take, or I don't know. They probably actually do a return receipt so that they know you got it. And of course, that gives the impression that it's more legitimate because, well, you got a return receipt, you got to sign it to state that you got it. So, then a couple of days after that, they call and say, they say something along the lines of, we can't offer you the job, so we need a refund.
Oh my God.
So these brilliant college kids, instead of checking into things, they actually send the refund.
Oh.
They send a check back to this scammer.
Seriously?
Yes. And then what happens is the check from the scammer bounces.
Of course it does.
So now, this particular, one of these people they were talking to in the news story supposedly lost $5,000.
Oh my God.
And I just looked at your mother. I said, what the hell kind of office supplies are they getting? I mean,
3D printer?
If you send me a check that's for $5,000 for office supplies, to me, that's a big-ass red flag.
Yeah.
I mean, whoa.
That's insane.
You asking me to open my own office, my own branch? What
Apparently.
the hell?
Clearly.
I'm like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the cops, we can't do a whole lot about it. Yikes. And they talked to another graduate who actually called the company before he received the check. He called the company that supposedly offered him a job, and they said, no, we've never heard of you, and we don't have any job postings, or something along those lines. So he never cashed the check. But I'm like,
smart.
Wow.
Mm. One guy bothered to do research.
It's not even that he did research. He called to ask him something about the job offer that, wasn't detailed. And it set up a red flag. And I'm like, oh my God. So seriously, these scammers, they're getting more and more sophisticated. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, if you aren't checking things, when you get a check for $5,000 without filling out anything, so the minimum thing that you have to fill out would be for your taxes and an I-9 proving that you can actually work in this country. Those are the two minimum things. And with taxes, there's the federal, and if you're in a state that has state taxes, you have to fill out the state tax as well. So, you've got 2 or 3 forms that you need to fill out before they can actually send you any kind of check. If they're not sending any of that stuff, then perhaps before you cash that check, you should look on the internet and find the number for that company. Don't call the number that they sent you, because then they're going to say, oh, yeah, this is legitimate. Look on the company's website. And if you're not getting jobs from the company website, if you're getting them from like LinkedIn or some of the other ones I can't even remember off the top of my head now. If you're getting them off of those job sites, you got to be careful.
Yep.
Companies legitimately post on those, but scammers also post on those.
Yep.
And you have to look at sites for very minor things. like, sites and even emails, because these scammers, they can't, to make sure that they're not attracting attention. They do things like put a backwards E in there or use a 1 instead of an L, little things like that, that make it so that robotic scans aren't going to pick it up and say, oh, this isn't legitimate.
Yeah.
The other thing, I know everybody's fascinated with their smartphones and doing everything via their smartphone. A big advantage of using a computer is when you're looking at the email, you can hover over a link and see if it actually matches what it states it is. Because I could put in a link that says The Grumpy Guy Show and then have it actually go someplace that's completely and totally illegitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to know is if you hover over it and see that this does not go to The Grumpy Guy Show. It's got, some goofy address in there. You can't see that on a smartphone. And the problem with the smartphone beyond that is you click on it, it could be a site loaded with malicious software that as soon as you open that site, it gets loaded onto your smartphone and then you're screwed. Because suddenly, within minutes, they have access to everything on your phone, including any bank information you may have on there. So, you really got to think about that stuff, folks.
Yep.
So, the next thing.
Next order of business.
Next topic. Yeah. So, I don't know if we've talked about this one before or not, but the topic is Linux, anyone? So, over the past few months, I've been reading more and more about how Microsoft is slowly injecting ads into Windows 11.
Of course they are.
And all I can think is, boy, I really, truly want to just run Linux.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've said, biggest problem with that is software I want is only on Windows or Mac.
Ooh.
And somebody might say, well, change to a Mac. Well, first and foremost, I'm not overly rich. So,
yeah. Macs are too expensive.
Yes. There's what's called an Apple tax. And basically what that means is, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But, the other problem is with Apple products, you're stuck with what Apple decides they want to allow.
Yep.
Like the iPhone. There was a long time where they would not allow any kind of messaging app other than their own iMessages.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that it's still the case when it comes to text messages that the iMessages app is the only app that is allowed. You can have other messaging apps like WhatsApp or something like that or Facebook Messenger. But when it comes to text, nope. Can't do it. You can't use any phone, like any camera app on the iPhone other than Apple's app. This is the kind of stuff that turns me off from any Apple product. I want choice. I don't want to be stuck with whatever they decide is best for me.
Yeah, that's
fair. And Microsoft is getting a little bit more and more like that. When they with Edge, their browser, it's based on Chrome, but they force it on us at work, and they won't let us hide it or anything. And if you accidentally open it up, hey, you want to switch? You want to switch to Edge? We're as good as Chrome. You want to switch? How about switching? And it's like, no, I don't want that piece of crap even on the computer.
Yeah.
But
it just sounds like that just sounds so desperate. Like, please switch. Please.
Yeah, pretty much that's what it is. And a lot of it's because with Chrome, they don't get that tracking information that they want. And that's why they want you to install Edge. And for anybody using an Android phone who has installed Edge on your phone, guess what? Now instead of giving your data to just Google, you're giving your data to Google and to Microsoft. Brilliant move.
Genius.
Yeah, and you're not getting anything more out of it. It's still based on Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only thing, I mean, I suppose if you use Office 365, then yeah, go ahead and get it because, but, I mean, who's going to work on a spreadsheet on their cell phone? That's ridiculous. But,
sounds pointless.
Yeah, whatever. So there was an article I read the headline and knew exactly what it was about. And it said that Microsoft is how did it put it? Microsoft is slowly killing everything that keeps people using Windows. What was Windows, Surface Pro, and Xbox? I'm like, so they're putting ads on on all of those platforms now. These are things that you pay for, folks. These aren't things that, you know, you've gotten for free. Like Gmail. Totally get that Google is going to be taking information because it's free. Which means how am I paying for it? I'm paying for it with my information. You know? But something like Windows, no, I bought that. I shouldn't have to deal with ads.
Right.
Plain and simple. You know, just, I mean, anything on Chrome. Chrome is free. Yeah, I get that there's ads in there. I get that Google's taking data. Totally understand. That's how they make money. I've chosen that. But if I pay for, if I were to pay for a browser and they put ads in it, I would have an issue with it. And as soon as I see ads come up in Windows, I'm going to have an issue with it. And I'm going to start, you know, there's already all kinds of things out there telling you how you can block these ads.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, once the ads start coming,
and they don't stop coming.
Yeah. Once they start coming, that's it. I'm gonna start doing some research and I'll block it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, we talked a couple of weeks ago about me asking on you know, for the photo editing software about you know, running on Linux. Well, if I never get anything back from them and you know, ads start coming up, I may have to bite the bullet and go back to the more expensive Adobe, you know, the Adobe Creative Cloud, because their desktop app does not run on Linux. However, their web browser does. And I was using the web browser before I switched. I switched to look to save money. If I can't save money, you know, if saving money means dealing with ads all the time on Windows and dealing with additional downloads because of all the stupid ads that they're running, nope, I'm done. Because truly, the only thing that keeps me on Windows is photo editing. Everything else I can do perfectly fine on Linux. And in fact, I can do it better because there isn't all the bloat that's built into Windows.
Yep.
So, all right, folks. I'm sure you heard that music starting up.
Good night.
Thanks for sticking around for 3 seasons. We'll see you.